Hello and welcome to Wake and Jake, myself, BBD. We are full-blown in baseball season as March Madness sneaks up and the NBA is rolling a little bit. Watch that Knicks-Celtics game as the Knicks dominated the other night. Whoops. Tatum ejected, no Jaylen Brown. Anyways, we are full. We're almost a week into spring training. I think there's 5 days as of yesterday, so we'll call it 6. As of tomorrow, we'll call it a full-blown week. So we're a work weekend to spring training. And the time of eternal optimism, the time of hope, which I want to talk about two different things. We've had our bottom 10 team TPPs come out, and I want to react to your guys' reaction a little bit, and we'll talk about what's fair and foul. But first, I think I want to do, and I tweeted out last night, who are some players you're higher on just from 5 days of spring training? Because that's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's not how baseball works. Spring training literally doesn't matter. Literally.
They don't care about the results. There's guys that don't swing in spring training, or they're only trying to foul it straight back.
And if anything, the first week, I mean, my goodness.
This is just extended stretching.
That being said, I have guys I'm higher on after their first week of spring training. And I tweeted it out, and a bunch of people got in the mix. So I'll walk you through where my brain started the conversation to show you both ends of the spectrum. And I covered it up in a little bit of the tweet. The first one was Clark Schmidt for the Yankees. A little deep cut, but I'll just scratch that itch while it's there. Clark Schmidt has a chance to win the fifth starter role. You may have seen him. I mean, last year he had a lot of appearances. He had 29 games. He's been a rumored Yankees prospect for a couple years now. I think he was the COVID camp all-star or something. It was him and Tyro.
Yeah.
They won the best players at the fake spring training after in the 2020 season. Do what you want with that.
Yeah. Former first-round pick.
First-round pick, and I think he was he only a first-round pick because he had Tommy John or something?
Not necessarily only, but the Yankees, especially the way that they were drafting at that time, they knew they could underslot him because I think he got Tommy John as a college senior.
He's a real guy, fastball sitting to 94, 95, wipeout curveball. That's what everyone talked about, crazy RPMs. And it kind of came to fruition last year. Clark Schmidt, and we talked about him a little bit on Talkin Yanks. Last year, he ended up having 29 appearances. He started 3 games, 57.2 innings, strikeout per inning, a 3.12 ERA. So he kind of got thrust into a reliever role just because the Yankees needed him and he was good. The problem ended up being he was really good against righties. He wasn't as good against lefties. He held righties 192, a 548 OPS. Versus lefties, a 268 batting average, a 358 on base, a 797 OPS. So he turned every lefty into an all-star. Or a borderline all-star last year, I should say. Depends your position with an 800 OPS. So Clark Schmidt comes in, first game of spring training. Frankie Montas is hurt. So the fifth starter role is between him and Domingo Germán, more or less. And what does he do? He comes out and he's chucking a cutter, which he didn't throw last year. It's been a pitch that Yankees pitching coach Matt Blake has tried to force on Yankee fans or Yankee pitchers for a little bit now because it can get on lefties' hands and really be a weapon for you. He threw RPM-wise the same cutter that Corbin Burns throws, who, his cutter is one of the best pitches in the game. So you put all that in the pot. I've seen Clark Schmidt once. I've seen his opportunity open up. I've seen a new pitch that grades out well analytically, I guess. Revolutions-wise. And
you saw him be pretty good in the big leagues last year before that.
Right. It's just, it's kind of okay, if he can address his one problem, which is something else I like in baseball, he needed to attack lefties better with more experience and potentially a new pitch, you can really start to dream on what Clark Schmidt could be this year. So that was one of my first days into spring training, guys. The other one I put on the tweet was Trent Grisham. Going to be honest with you, I haven't been watching Padres spring training games as closely as I'd like to be. But I did see some tweets. He has a new stance. He's approaching the plate differently. So when a guy comes out who had a down year last year, the year before that, Trent Grisham was a solid MLB hitter, and we saw him turn it on in the playoffs for a little bit last year. I think he ended up coming back down to earth.
Enough moments to look. We think of it as a good playoffs for sure. I don't know what the full numbers are, but yeah.
Trent Grisham, after the incident, 2019 playoffs, got traded to the Padres. 191 games with the Padres, 111 OPS plus. That's really good, especially for a guy that plays defense the way he does. He has 2 Gold Gloves now. Last year, he was horrific. 184, 284, a 626 OPS.
Gold Glove in center field.
Won the Gold Glove again. So he's doing that, which, again, he racked up 2.5 WAR, but he wants to be better at the plate. And so you come in with a new stance. You try to put that last year in your rear view. You get some hope for Trent Grisham. And just showing the full range of the spectrum before I get into some of what you guys had. Some of you, I'm going to lose you right now instantly, but that's fine. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think he hit 2 homers in his first 2 games. Vladdy came up. He's 20 years old. He's, future of baseball. We all know his dad, which might be for the better or the worst. He's a little thick. He came up 123 games. He didn't set the world on fire. That was also a juice ball year, which might be unfair to him. He had a 772 OPS. That was a 106 OPS plus that year. That would have been like a 125 OPS plus this year. COVID season, 60 games. Kind of the same song and dance. 791 OPS. The OPS plus goes up to 115. I bought a lot of Vladdy stock before 21. I thought it was going to click. I was like, wait, he's played 1.5 full seasons because one's a COVID season. He's still 22. And I thought he was going to be the doubles king of MLB. I loved how violent his swing was. And again, this isn't advanced scouting. He's still a massive prospect, the son of a Hall of Famer and with probably a Hall of Fame trajectory. Where I was wrong is he led the league in homers that year. He hit 48 in 21. He led the league in on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, total bases. He had a 311 batting average. It all came together for Vladdy. He was second in the MVP.
It's a guy who got it. Wasn't Shohei Ohtani doing what was never been done before. Normal years, Vlad wins MVP that year.
That was Showtime. So they come out last year, and remember, who are these Blue Jays? And again, for the Yankee side of it, we come off as bad Yankee fans, which we'll talk about when we get to the Red Sox TPP. Last year, popcorn, the movie, the whole thing, the Blue Jays season. Vlad ends up playing 160 games, which the more and more we get into baseball, games played is kind of badass. He played 161 in 21. He played 160 last year. So let's give the guy credit there. And by the way,
Rougned Odor's a Padre.
Who?
Rougned Odor.
God damn it. Just what they were missing. Vladdy, 274, 339, and 818 OPS last year. Reminder, that's a 132 OPS plus. That's great. 30%, 32% better than your average hitter. That's a year. And he actually won a Gold Glove. I don't think I knew that. At first?
Yeah, that was one of the ones people were like, this sure is weird.
Yeah. Anyways, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., still 23 as of today. He turns 24 in 2 weeks. So how about that? He's going to be 24. The Blue Jays got a little bit embarrassed last year. They played Seattle, 3-game wild card playoff, lost both games. That's it. Vladdy now in 4 playoff games. 4 games. Let's go back to spring training not mattering. 4 games in baseball is an awful sample. Vladdy is 2 for 15. The Blue Jays fell a little flat last year. 24 is still young. Again, my going away line even from last episode was I think I was dumb till I was 28. I think I said 26, but it's in that range.
You said you were fully dumb until 26.
Not sharp. Vladdy's going to be 24 this year. It's going to be his 5th year in the league. I was looking at the MVP odds. I think he's listed 5th. I think it was like Shohei, Trout,
I think Judge is tied with Trout in there.
Yeah, Shohei, Judge, Trout. Who am I missing? Julio. And then, I think 5 was Vlad. I guess what I'm saying is I think I would have Vlad as 2 going into this season. I think Shohei is almost illegal in the MVP vote. Judge, and Yankee fans, you're not going to want to hear this. You can't repeat what he did.
And he specifically would kind of have to get MVP again.
Like if Judge hits 48 homers next year, for a lot of the national scope, that's almost going to be like disappointing, which is brutal. I mean, 48 is still a big year, so maybe not there, but 38. Which is a great year for a lot of baseball players. It's an unreal year for a lot of baseball players. That would be like people having conversations about Judge. Hopefully we won't be those people. I guess what I'm saying is coming into that 21 season, I thought Vlad was going to go. I didn't think he was going to be the homer. I think coming off of last year, which is a nice year, but I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is special. I think he's locked in. I got the quotes from his manager that, he's focused and he's more locked in than ever, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of the range of the scale. You could have Trent Grisham becoming a, all-around player. You could have Clark Schmidt kind of breaking out as a starting pitcher, or Vlad going from 5th in the MVP to 2nd in the MVP. So I tweeted out. I got Coach Trev with the reply. I can tell you a few players I'm higher than. Nice, Trev. Stoner bashing crew. Cool. I think one thing of note that I want to get off my chest real quick, Blue Jay fans are gnarly. One, I say that in a beautiful way. They're locked in. They're engaged. They're active on Twitter. I like that. They have an edge against Yankee fans. I understand that to a degree. They're also hype. They're like a young Twitter hype crew that I was laughing because the way the kid phrased it, the Blue Jays have a new super prospect, Ricky Tiedemann. I don't know. It wasn't in my book either. Kid is, and so that's why we're kind of doing this. Kid is, I think he's 20. He throws a hunch, and he's lefty. And he had a perfect spring training debut. So, the Blue Jays are hype on this kid. I think he's going to pass Nate Pearson, which was funny because when I was watching the Blue Jays broadcast, Dan Schulman, who calls a lot of college games, you see him around. He's the Blue Jays guy. Dan Schulman was like, I'm not sure the last time we saw the hype train on this. And Buck Martinez, I believe, who calls the games with him, he's got a hilarious baseball voice. Dan Schulman's like, we haven't seen hype on this kid. And Buck was like, hey, what about Pearson? It's like, yeah, that hype train was pretty real for a little bit. I guess what's more important is Tiedemann, and maybe get this name in your book now, he throws gas. I think he threw 99.4, and there was only 25 pitches from lefties last year faster than that. Weird little stat. But again, it's one of those things we ignore how few lefties there really are.
Yeah.
Because you just see a lefty and you're like, oh, okay.
Let alone that have like velo like that.
There's just not. It's when
Chapman.
It's when we found out CC has the second most strikeouts as a lefty or whatever the stat is. I think it's Randy Johnson and him. Or maybe it was wins. So. I forget. It was something that you're like, wow, lefties are a big part of the game.
He was like the 4th lefty to get to 3,000 strikeouts. Is it that one?
So on the prospect call-up list, get ready to hear from Blue Jays fans about Ricky Tiedemann. I also saw Barrios in there. I know he's working on new pitches after a down year. I even saw someone throw Kikuchi. So the Blue Jay fans were out and about last night, which I love. Good for them. Let's see, what are some other highlights? I saw a lot of Joey Bart. That's an easy one to put in the formula. Former top prospect.
If he goes right, that helps the Giants a lot as well.
Came down a little bit, and I think he was 3 for 4 to start spring training, so you get excited about that. Jared Kelenic, same song, different chorus. He hit 2 homers already. The next Trout.
Yeah. I think I saw him
Really unfair.
Saw him make a nice play in the corner in the left field the other day over the weekend. Don't know how I came across that.
How old do we think he is?
Kelenic?
23? 22?
I honestly would guess he's still 22.
23. 23. Okay. So, a lot of guys don't get called up till later in life. So he's got the hype train going a little bit. Obviously, there was a bunch of Yankee fans that were throwing in The Martian. Yeah. We did Martian and Volpe on Talkin Yanks. Check it out. Someone said Willie Randolph, which the Yankee moms. Oof. Yes. Ooh, I got someone. Okay, BBD, I might need you to research this on the fly. Didn't Grisham train with Carpenter this offseason? So, okay. Let me know how that goes, because if that's true, we're buying in. And then a couple other names that stood out. There's a lot of prospect names. Ronnie Mauricio from the Mets. He was doing some good things. I guess a couple guys that really jumped out to me were Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, they worked out together this offseason, and Grisham has the same mustache now.
So, if you saw what Matt Carpenter did, buy as much Trent Grisham stock as you can. Brendan Donovan, I want you guys to look at his baseball reference because, if you follow baseball, you probably heard his name. He's a Cardinals prospect, and he was playing. And he won the Gold Glove last year. I think, was it the utility Gold Glove?
I think he got the util.
He played everywhere, by the way. He played second, third, right, left, first, and short. So, as a rookie, a 25-year-old rookie, he played 6 positions. And by the way, 281, 394 on base, and a 773 OPS. Cardinals Devil Magic, 4 WAR, 126 games. They just called this guy up. So, Brendan Donovan's someone you need to be more familiar with. Because if he can get on base at a 390 clip in front of Arenado and Goldschmidt, he's going to score a lot. That's not even a spring training thing. It's just like if you're a baseball fan, you know his name. You kind of need to know it a little more.
Guy who's sort of slipped through the cracks of just coverage last year.
That you're just like, oh, all right. Like, he kind of got usurped by Tommy Edman. You're like, if I need to put in one
Cardinal super defender,
it's him.
And he was awesome.
He was awesome. The other guy that I think is just a big talking point of this offseason that hasn't been talked about enough, and maybe we'll talk about it when we get to some of the TPP stuffs because we haven't gotten to the high-level teams yet as we've been doing them. Vaughn Grisham of the Atlanta Braves. This team let Dansby go the year after letting Freddie go. They believe in their player development more than any team in Major League Baseball because they called up Michael Harris too, and their pitching staff and Albies and all of it. Young, thick Austin Riley. Vaughn Grisham is 22 years old. They're kind of giving him the keys to shortstop. I think you might see Orlando Arcia, the former Brewers shortstop. They're tapping into something there a little bit. But they want Vaughn Grisham to be their shortstop. And the only other thing that I'd put in the pot with this is that he's working with one of the few MLB coaches that you are familiar with if you're a Major League Baseball fan for becoming a high-level infielder. Ron Washington is still on Atlanta, and that dude gets more credit around the league for being an infield coach than anyone else. He's like if you went around to any baseball show, MLB Network, us, I guess that's it. Yeah. There's some others, and you did a draft of MLB infield coaches, you'd be Ron Washington, and then you'd be like, I don't know, who else is out there?
Haven't heard about anyone else. He's the Family Feud. Like
he's the guy.
Who's the infield whisperer? And it's Ron Washington.
And you start to wonder because we give a lot of credit to the baseball players because they have to play the game. But has Ozzie Albies won a Gold Glove? Let me see. I know Dansby had. Ozzy does not have one. Damn.
Yeah. Olsen didn't get one last year. Already was a great defender.
Right, and he already came over. But, young, thick Austin Riley's gotten a lot better at the hot corner. Dansby Swanson's won Gold Glove. So you don't know where the line draws between player development and who they are and what they do. But Vaughn Grisham, you have the Atlanta Braves, who deserve all the credit in the world for giving young players opportunity. You have the only real infield coach we could name. And side note, Vaughn Grisham did play 41 games last year and hit 291 with a 792 OPS. So it's not like he's coming in blind. It's just with the Braves track record, with the opportunity he's going to get, and I think he got off to a nice start this spring, he's someone else that needed to be brought up. So I would say comment below. You can go so many ways with this. I saw people commenting like veterans that you can't get excited for. Not to be rude. Who did I see?
They're not going to fundamentally
Roman
change.
Quinn, who hit 3 homers. Like, no, that doesn't count. I think he's got 2 homers in the past 2 seasons. There's a lot of prospects. I saw Casey Schmidt listed a couple times, who I wasn't super familiar with. Emmanuel Valdez made the list twice. And something that I did think was fun, and we already did their TPP, and I think we're about to talk about it in a second, and it wouldn't be something you'd mention on the TPP, just because we have a massive one in the office, and Tom Prizeman. Mike Tauchman with the Cubs. Chicago guy. I don't know. He'd need an injury or something to go right, but he went overseas, did that for a year, now he's back. He's a Chicago guy. The city could get into that. He plays good defense if he could get hot for a second. That's not anything, but I guess it's out there now. So I was laughing that someone put him on the list. I'm glad he's back. And he's like a proud Chicago guy.
Yeah,
like
it's the spot.
It wouldn't be fake. It wouldn't be like,
he would talk about it while he was on the Yankees.
Grew up in Syracuse and you're playing for the Yankees. Like, I love the big city. Like, he's a Chicago dude. And all of that was brought to you by DraftKings. Why don't you guys go to the official sports betting partner of the NBA? NFL, I think they might be MLB too. $5 on any pregame money line bet and get 150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Plus, for a limited time, all customers can score a no-sweat same-game parlay. Go to the app, opt in, place the same-game parlay on any NBA game. If it doesn't hit, you get a bonus bet back. Bong. Those deals, that's where you can really do it right. Like, they do some silly ones every now and then, like, will Ja Morant score a bucket? And it's like, you can only bet up to $20, but that's a pretty good bet. So keep an eye out for that. And download the app now. Sign up with code BAKERS. New customers can place $5 on any pregame moneyline bet. Get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Code BAKERS. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Let's do a little TPP reaction. The bottom 10 teams have been released on the Talkin Baseball YouTube. If you've been checking them out, thank you. If you haven't,
there's 10 out there, and 20 more coming.
And I just opened up the Talkin Baseball YouTube, and sometimes it shows old episodes. Episode 334, John Boy's back, plus Rat or Raccoon. Mm-hmm. How are your New York Metropolitans? So the top 10 have come out, and peel back the curtains for you guys, because that's what we like to do, and you guys like and respect that we do that. TPPs can be a little bit of a nervous time, because we're talking about a full team, and me and BBD, who are in the weeds of baseball nerds, I hadn't heard of Ricky Tiedemann until I was watching the Jays spring training, and Jays fans are hype about this dude. When we're talking about a whole team, a whole organization, and we're laying that out there, it's a little nervous. We have Dalton, who's been helping us research. I'm not sure if Erica's been involved in that. I think it's been all Dalton this year. But, you miss one thing, and you're going to get ripped apart. Like I think
it's kind of impossible to not miss something.
I think on the Red Sox episode, I think like Connor Siebold or someone got mentioned briefly, and Red Sox fans were like, he's gone. And you're like, fuck. So sorry.
Yeah. Every time we mentioned the Red Sox not on their TPP, and if you didn't say Brian Bayo, they freaked out.
Yeah. Which...
we made sure we got him on the TPP.
They're hype about Bayo, which I appreciate. So
I'm hype about Bayo.
A couple things. One, the comments and reaction have been great so far. Nationals, A's, Reds, Pirates, Royals, Tigers, Rockies, Marlins. The comments were all really nice. People, basically the harshest comment we would get, which, reminder, this is the internet. I had someone...
YouTube comment section.
A YouTube comment section or anywhere on the internet. I mean, someone commented on my BR MLB The Show game with Shelfie. Jake, what is this? I give the channel a couple months break and I come back and you're rocking the same haircut my grandpa's had since he was a toddler in 1942? I mean, that's just the internet.
People just say mean stuff here.
That's, I laughed. I tweeted it because I was like, damn, that's the internet. The comments had been really nice. Not even a lot of like, you should have mentioned this guy more, or, it was a lot of people with the like, you guys were kind of on it. The only thing I'd add is this, and this. Which again, it's mostly opinion at that point. It would be if they were on the show. Mad. If they were on the show with us, they just would have said like, I want a little more Roansy Contreras. I think his velo was up. Wandy's velo up. That cracked me up.
Wandy's hilarious.
In my head, and this is rude to Wandy because he's a professional athlete and he's incredible, but in my head, I had this as like the first off season he like trained. Nice. It's like, yeah, Wandy's velo's up.
Yeah. Played with a weighted ball last week, so first time.
I'm ready. All off season. It was just a waterlogged ball. The comments were all really nice. A little more of this prospect, a little more. I think this guy's going to bounce back. And then I thought it was interesting. We got to the Chicago Cubs, who I just mentioned. And by the way, I think that came out 3 days ago, and it's the most viewed episode of the TPP so far, I believe, on YouTube. Oh, Pirates have them beat. Let's go. Buying a little Pirates stock. I told everybody that. Yeah. I got to stop saying that. I don't even know how to buy stock.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask Trev, how do I buy stocks? And Trevor Plouffe, my ask that question guy.
Yeah, he's that guy. He's the veteran in the locker room. The Cubs team profile and projection came out. And so the Cubs had an interesting offseason. They retooled. I'm already on their page because I mentioned Mike Tauchman before. Their big fish is Dansby Swanson, which, depending who you talk to in baseball circles, you get some different opinions on. I'm higher than most people. I think people are fading the fade too much just because his average arm strength rating throws aren't through the roof. Guess what? He won the Gold Glove. Like, it was not a problem.
Shift's going away, and I think that's the part of his game least affected by that. Everything else should play more.
If anything else,
I think he just bought an extra year at shortstop.
They brought in some. Trey Mancini deserves probably more credit, just because his time in Houston didn't go great. But he's been a hitter. He's going to be like their DH, and he can play the field if you need it. Second year of Seiya Suzuki, Ian Happ contract year, Cody Bellinger. Who knows? I mean, Cody Bellinger could hit 150, or he could be starting in the All-Star game. Nobody knows. It's baseball. So the Cubs, they brought in Dansby. They brought in a couple other veteran pieces. Chris Morel right now, I don't know if he even hasn't necessarily a starting spot, and I really like him.
Some electric moments.
Their bullpen is, and it's actually, they've added a guy or two since we did the TPP, and that's the problem with it. And I did see some people saying like, and this is where the comments get hilarious. They were like, oh, why do they pre-record these so early? And someone was like, John Boy's sitting on money. And I was like, what? That doesn't even make sense. We pre-record them because we do a whole workload.
We have to do 30 of them total.
And we've got I had a wedding. We've got
we had to be more early than usual.
Blitzball battle teaser coming up.
Jimmy went on a vacation.
So, yeah.
We were more ahead than usual.
And by the way, for the Pirates, Marlins, and everyone, they were kind of cool with it. So, I thought it was interesting. We got into the first big fan base, the Chicago Cubs, a staple of the MLB. Their bullpen at the time, there was no Michael Fulmer. I don't think Boxberger was there. Maybe he was.
I think he was, but
he was.
How much are you going to talk about one?
Julian Merriweather from waivers. Their bullpen doesn't have a lot of name recognition. Their starting pitching, Stroman, Tyone, Justin Steele, Drew Smyly, Adrian Sampson. So there was something that Trev got love for, that their starting pitching the second half of the year was better and kind of took a step. Okay. Their bullpen, again, without a ton of names, they were okay last year. But they did lose Scott Efros, who threw a lot of good innings for them. D-Rob was there. So I'm fairly low on their pitching. I think they're an injury or a down season away from being in a real tight spot. They also, I saw people quote their pitching coach. So, Yankee fans love Matt Blake. If they have their version of Matt Blake and he's making it work, maybe that's something that we didn't know. And that information could change the NL Central this year. Second year of Seiya Suzuki, Ian Happ contract here. I just think when you put the Cubs on paper and they're next to the Brewers and Cardinals, you're looking at different teams, especially the Cardinals. Maybe not the Brewers. We'll see what goes on with this year, although I kind of ended up liking their offseason. Cubs fans, the most liked comment was Coach Trev saving Jake and Jimmy from Cubs knowledge. It's because he was nice and he was saying that their pitching was good in the second half last year. And I think this is a reply to that comment is this team definitely improved. A bit curious to see where they end up the season. Team profile and projections, spring training. Absolutely. I do think the Cubs got better. I don't know where that lands them with the Brewers, who kind of had a meh year for the current Brewers. Trev picked them to go to the World Series. Mm-hmm. So they were kind of meh. They retooled. Let's see what it is. And organizationally, the Brewers get more credit than the Cubs at this point. And the Cardinals were really good. I was just screaming about Brendan Donovan before. And they've got enough. Who's the outfield? Jordan Walker. People are hype on that dude. Like, Cardinals devil magic is real. Why didn't Nolan Arenado opt out? Manny Machado got, double? Anyways. So.
Well over.
With that being said, I appreciated it from the Cubs fans. There's a guy that commented his YouTube picture is a Cubs logo. And he says the pitching is going to be good, specifically the starting pitching. And hey, maybe you're right. Maybe the pitching coach is there. Maybe Tyone is more built up. Because again, coming off double Tommy John and then 2 seasons, maybe he's ready to go. Stroh dials it in. Justin Steele's the truth coming off a nice season. Sampson and Smyly are doing well. He commented on their depth. I guess here's what I'm saying. As we continue to go into other baseball teams, and we're talking about starting pitching in depth, I think the Cubs aren't on a higher... the reason the Cubs aren't higher is because of their starting pitching, right? Their lineup and defense, it's a
real lineup.
You can believe in it. You can believe in it.
Maybe you don't believe in the overall depth, but
I'm just trying to think about teams. Even Milwaukee, their starting pitching's been really, really good for a few years now, and they've got those big guys up top. I guess St. Louis, what's their rotation look like right now? St. Louis rotation: Waino, Michaelis, who was really good last year, Monty, Jack Flaherty, Steven Matz. Would you rather have the Cardinals rotation or the Cubs rotation?
Cardinals.
I think it's Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
There's injury concerns, but every team, every pitcher's one throw away. So.
And again, now if you go to the bullpen, so if we do pitching as a whole, Helsley was one of the breakout players last year. That guy's disgusting. Giovanni Gallegos, Jordan Hicks. Remember him? I always forget if it's Genesis or Genesis Cabrera.
I think it's Genesis.
He's gross from the left side. Like, there's arguably 4 guys with higher potential in the Cardinals bullpen than anyone on the Cubs. So pitching on the whole is where I get nervous for Cubs fans. Hey, I didn't rule them out. Like they've got hope. Their defense is going to be really good. Horner and Swanson, with Cody Bellinger floating around. Ian Happ won the Gold Glove last year. Like, you can believe in it. They're going to get better. Let's see where that is. And I think Cubs fans ended up landing in a good spot with it. A lot of the Cubs fans were like, hey, I'm into this. I'm optimistic. I am a Cubs fan, and you should be. So let's see where they're right. So then the Red Sox episode comes out. And there's also one other big thing looming over all of this, that the Diamondbacks episode hasn't come out yet. So I feel like I have juiced the books. I do think it's coming out soon. But, Poppy Gordo's effect with the Diamondbacks, I do think, and maybe this is as rude as you could possibly be, and I think we say it on their TPP, I think the Diamondbacks were, when you were filling out the list, a couple people were like, oh, shit. Forgot. Forgot to put them in. So the Red Sox episode comes out. It's going to be our ugliest reactions anyways, right? Like, we are Yankee fans. I get it. Part of the reason I'm passionate about doing this, and I've said this a lot, is where I went for sports information for a little bit was Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo, and they are both Boston guys. And so every time they do a comparison, it would be to a Boston team. It would be to Robert Parrish. It would be to Bird. It would be to Pedroia. And it was like, these guys always come back to Boston because that's what they know. And we do the same thing. So I get it. If you're a big baseball fan and you support what we're being about and what we're doing, but every time I compare,
every comparison is to
that person that has quick wrists and swings a heavy bat, I compare him to Alfonso Soriano. Like, all of our comparisons. You have a new pitching coach you like? Matt Blake. Like, I just did it. And it's natural. It's how it works. The Red Sox reaction, I guess it's what I would expect. There was, and I guess where I ended up being okay with it, because normally I'm not the comments guy, but I like seeing the team reaction. Like, what did we miss, or what should
these that are a little more targeted for those fans?
What should I have considered just a little more? To pat myself on the back, I think if the Red Sox are successful this year, what I stumbled into is that they need 5 innings from their starters. They rebuffed up their bullpen. They're going to score runs at Fenway. The offense is solid. If they get enough from their starting pitching, I think we saw, I don't know, man. Red Sox fans just came in too hot. Like, to push Chris Sale and Paxton on me, and this is the best way to think about it. If Chris Sale and James Paxton were Yankees, and you were a Red Sox fan, you wouldn't be telling me like, oh man, I'm scared about those guys this year. They're healthy right now. James Paxton, over the last 3 years, I think he's thrown, I looked these numbers up. I think it's like 50 innings. James Paxton over the last 3 years he's 21 innings. Chris Sale over the past 3 years is 60 innings. So injuries are very real. They happen to every team, and they happen to guys that get injured more. There's a little Jake analytics for you. Red Sox fans came in hot. I think they're also, they were mad about Jimmy saying they had no plan, and there's a little bit of a plan. They locked up Devers. They signed Yoshi to a real one. Casas is hopefully their future. Yoshida, like they gave him a real contract. Like they have a core plan, and they address their bullpen. So that was kind of their game plan. They're starting pitching, man. Sale, Kluber, Pivetta, Paxton, Whitlock. I defended Kluber a little bit. He could be bad at Fenway, man. Like,
it can go really bad.
I defended him as a lot as a Yankee, and maybe he's good as a Red Sox. Maybe he's a wily veteran, and he's kind of healthy-ish with the Rays last year. Like, maybe it's nice. I don't know.
Smart guy, like
Pivetta has a certain ceiling on it. He can be consistent for you, but there's a ceiling on that. Paxton and Sale, we just covered. Whitlock, still trying to like transition into a starter role. They don't have the Cubs bullpen questions. I think they might have more questions in their starting rotation than the Cubs, because at least you kind of know what you're getting from Stroman and Tyone. It's not necessarily the highest of level, but they can be good, and you expect them to pitch. And with the Red Sox, there's parts in, right? Yoshi, Justin Turner, that's exciting. I guess for me, Red Sox fans, the parts out hurt last year, man. Xander Bogaerts is a Hall of Fame guy for you. Nate Eovaldi, you know what he's going to provide to you. And hey, maybe they cut and run at the perfect time on Eovaldi. Maybe that Bogaerts contract looks bad. JD Martinez out. He had a really big first half last season when the Red Sox were still in the mix. Michael Wacha was good for them. And so, as I say, Michael Wacha was good for them. There was some skepticism there. Maybe that's Kluber. Maybe that's Paxton. I don't know. But the parts that went out for the Sox last year and the parts that went in, I don't know. I don't know where it lands. Maybe it does land in a good place. And Sale does throw 150 innings, and he looks good. The parts out hurt, and their bigger problem is that division. They finished last year. They finished last. The Orioles, and I was actually, I think, the highest on the Red Sox. I think they're going to finish fourth this year. I think the Orioles are going to come back down to earth a little bit. They also could not. The Orioles have, like, super prospects coming up. If those guys are good, they're going to be good. So I don't know. The Red Sox fans came in a little hot. I think a little hotter than they should have. At the same time, I very much know it's not going to be a lot of mutual love, especially spring training, because it's the time of eternal hope. They made changes. Let's see what it looks like when a Boston team gets momentum. It gets real momentum, so I love and appreciate that. But I also love that we were starting to get into passionate at teams 21 and 22, and they should probably be up a spot due to my Diamondbacks. We were seeing two passionate fan bases that made some changes, that they're not screaming World Series, but they're screaming hope. And I like that, and I'm excited to get into it. So that's kind of what I got for today. Watch everything on John Boy Media. Gaming, baseball. Do we have anything? Bino stream tonight if you get to that. So that's exciting.
Or 4 p.m. today, I think it's starting.
And a lot of other exciting stuff. Great weekly dumb last night. So, hey, love you guys. And we will see you Monday. God, there's some big injuries too. I think we're talking about that on Talkin Baseball. So, all right. Love you guys.